underway for the hour practice session here at Mandalika in Indonesia for the 15th round of the 2023 World Championship. This next hour is crucial as it sets the running order for qualifying 1 and qualifying 2. Good morning, everybody. Well done for getting up or staying up. This is the crucial hour. If you're watching us live on Twitch, welcome to you. If you're watching us on the YouTube catch-up, welcome to you. Turn 1 here at the Mandalika circuit, one of the most demanding, from 303 kilometers an hour down to 106. Turns 10 and 13 also important. In terms of the brake discs that have been recommended, 340 for extreme cooling and high mass is the recommended settings. Marco Bezzecchi, despite his crash this morning, has been declared medically fit for this event. Alex Marquez, however, has not, and he has withdrawn from the event. You can see his name no longer taking part out there on the screen. I'm just getting up the official confirmation. There is Pecco Bagnaia, the championship leader, by 3 points to Jorge Martin coming in as well. All looking very strong as well. Getting everything else with the issues that we have as well. Confirmed for the first time. Yeah, for the first time since FP2 round 1. We're outside with a full complete grid, so there was actually a full and complete grid, but that's changed. Alex Marquez ruled out the main of the weekend due to pain in his ribs. So there will be, because he's declared fit today in road, it resets the clock, so now they have to, they'll have to replace him to Thailand at the earliest, so there'll be no replacement for Alex Marquez in this next hour. Let's check in with TNT Sports though as the green light's on and the session is underway.
Play ball in the braking zone, so real struggle. The rear was always on the move, skipping, bouncing, not able to extract his strengths. But in Japan, from Friday practice, you can see they went to work. Definitely found something in terms of their engine brake strategy, and it gave Pecco some good speed. He had pace all weekend and back on form again. So yeah, it gives something for Jorge Martin to think about, that if Pecco gets back into a straight again, it might not be just as easy as he's been having it recently.
But Martin has looked like he is unflappable, and to turn up like he did last time in not his conditions, shall we say. Remember him crashing out of the wet race here last year. Remember he'd stepped onto the outside of the curve. Was it coming out the final corner, or was it heading into turn 1?
Breaking into turn 1.
Breaking into turn 1. He got on the curve.
I think he took to white line in the braking zone and just went to one of them face plants where he crashed straight away. But I've just got a feeling that, stating the obvious, there are much more twists and turns in this championship because of what we've got coming up with the 6 races, or 12 races in 7 weekends, tricky conditions. We go straight to Phillip Island from here. We know what it can be like there with the ridiculously inconsistent weather, and that can be just over in one race. So, and then straight to Thailand again. Remember what the climate can do there. So just the next 3 weekends, there's a lot that can happen.
Yeah, extremes, isn't it? Extremes of heat, extremes of cold.
Yeah, Phillip Island.
There's a reason that Barry Sheen dubbed it Siberia over the off the Bass Strait there.
I tell you what, all joking apart, I would not want to be in a championship battle right now with what you've got ahead of you. There's a lot of pressure on the riders, and with what's coming up, you've got to attack, but I said it earlier, but you've sort of got to defend, because you can't afford to pick up an injury now. And honestly, we've never experienced anything like this before. We've never had a championship this close at this point in the season. We've never had so many races at the end of a season with so many, like you say, changeable tracks, environments. It's really, really tough. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the riders, and it's who can deal with it best, who can keep their nose clean, it stays injury-free. Yeah, I can't emphasise how difficult the end of this season is going to be for this man, because he's got the pressure on him. He's carrying that number 1 plate. He doesn't want to get beat by the second Ducati team. I was going to call it a privateer team. It's anything but that. Yeah. It's an incredibly well set up professional team. But he does not want to get beat by it.
It is a satellite team. It isn't the factory squad, but he has the latest equipment pretty much. But he will have not the full support of the factory in the same way.
And I don't get the feeling, I don't know what you think, Michael, I don't think we're in a point in the season where, hey, Pecco's choking here, he's struggling with the pressure. I'm not sensing that. He had the big crash. For me, obviously he had the big crash in Barcelona, which he got away with. And then he's lost his way ever so slightly. But to ask you the question, Michael, do you think he's got the metal? Like, because now we are going to find out what he's made of.
Well, the run he went on last year to claw back, what was it, 90 odd points on Fabio
91,
Quartararo?
yeah.
So yeah, I think he has got it. He's got it in spades when he gets into his stride. But I do think that Jorge Martin on the Ducati's a different challenge than he had with Fabio last year. At that time, the momentum shifted. The Yamaha started to struggle, and obviously he was very confident. He was winning at a canter on occasion. So I think now Jorge Martin on similar material can take the fight to Pecco and perhaps derail him somewhat.
Oh, that's a gas with one of the...
We've had a multi-rider shunt here, so that is the 37 of Augusto Fernandez, who has gone down with one of the KTMs of Brad Binder. Now he's down, I believe, at turn 11 and 12. Yes, it is. So what's happened there? Turning in. Oops, Augusto's lost the front. Binder's gone out wide, and Augusto Fernandez has tagged Brad Binder off into the gravel. Don't think that was anyone's fault, but the track conditions. Turns in, front dips away from Augusto. He can't catch it, and Binder's just sort of on the exit of the circuit and just gets taken out. Neither of them's fault. It's the track with it not being gripped up here. But now we've got a situation with riders down in the firing line. Augusto Fernandez walking away. Yellow flag is out in sector 3, so that's going to spoil everybody else's lap time as Marco Bezzecchi goes back through. Very interesting time there. Very weird time as well to see that happening, but we will fight on and keep going. Hello to Omi. Morning, Omi. Morning, Omi. I've just seen you pop up in the chat room. I've got you on the iPad this time around as well, because we haven't got the full system working yet with the MacBook, because it's only early in the morning. So, and plus we don't need it for when we're not controlling, because all you have to do with Twitch is press go. Poor Josh with all these early shifts. Yes, it is a very hard early shift as well, but I get some sleep after as well, so all is good. Martin's backed out on the lap time. Yellow flag still out at 11 and 12 then, as they recover Binder and Fernandez's bike. Let's check a look at Pecco Bagnaia getting off the bike, coming into the garage. Arms ablaze, going, well, what do we do here? Flicks his visor up and going, well, I don't know what's wrong with the bike. Gigi Delineau does not look happy either, so it's not the greatest look here. Lap time canter for the 88 Miguel Oliveira. So Bagnaia once again not liking the bike, not liking the way it's set up. Going to have to try and find something to improve it all at the moment. With 51 minutes to go of this session, Aleix Espargaro goes top, 1:31.783. His teammate Maverick Vinales just behind him. Should go a little bit quicker. Nope, backs out at the end. Oliveira goes third. So it's Aleix Espargaro, Fabio Di Giannantonio second, Oliveira, Quartararo, Mia, Vinales, Zarco, Augusto Fernandez, Brad Binder, Paul Espargaro, and Enea Bassini. Nope, cancel Enea Bassini now. So those are the top 10 automatically qualify for the next half of this session, which is Q2 coming up later on. And look at that, in the first sector, we've got fastest sector times coming through for Aleix Espargaro and Fabio Di Giannantonio. And that fastest first sector for Jorge Martin, so they're still up there at the moment.
More people would have been thinking, wow, Mark moving to Ducati, clearly he's going to win a lot of races and clearly fight for the championship. There's a lot of people that think he's going to struggle out there. It's funny because when you are in the paddock like we are, we talk to everyone, current riders, ex-riders,
crew chiefs from other teams, and
like, I genuinely mean this now. I've not heard one person, not one, say, I don't know, I think he might struggle to adapt to the Ducati.
Or his injury's still, a bit of an issue.
Does he really want it? The fact that he's actually leaving a £15 million euro contract, don't really matter. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's euros or pounds. If it's 15 million, either way, it's a lot of money.
It's 13 million more than you.
You know what I mean? the fact that he's prepared to step away from that, just all that does is just show me his absolute hunger. But I'm genuinely, I mean that. It's quite interesting when you go on social media. It's split 50-50.
I mean, he is a Marmite rider for many people these days, isn't he?
I don't know about these days.
Well, he always has been.
I don't know if he always has been.
There was a date. I can't remember what date there was. That seemed to.
You think that's where it went 50-50?
Are we going to go there?
We're going to go to bang back and.
Oh, he's mentioned it now.
Why are you always going about
2015?
2015, yeah.
Yeah, just 8 years ago.
But yeah, he's been one of those characters who does divide opinion, and I think you notice he gets a lot of hate, and people dislike him. No one's if they're a Rossi fan, they will never say about how impressive Marquez is as a rider. Then you see the comments on social media, and I do find some of them laughable. Like you say, you walk about the paddock and not one person in the paddock who's in the know has any doubt that Mark will be competitive, and then you go on Twitter and it's like, oh, Mark's done, he's rubbish, he's over it.
Yeah, the bike's not built for him. He had the Honda built for him, and lots of reasons why.
Just a talk of who will replace him. Aprilia have had to come out, haven't they, and made a few comments, because the talk is that Vinales and Oliveira have been tapped up. Even Aleix Espargaro made a kind of cryptic comment about it yesterday. But Aprilia have come out and said, all our 4 riders, we want to keep them, and they're under contract. So, if they... Basically, that's it. But we know that isn't it, because we've already seen this year that contracts can be broken, as Maverick Vinales sets a new fastest lap of the weekend.
Yeah, 131.351 then for Maverick Vinales. Times vastly improving here.
Yeah, it always goes well on fast-flowing corners. Loves Silverstone, loves Argentina. This track reminds me of Argentina. And the low grip nature, and he looks incredibly comfortable, does Maverick, on a track where not a lot of people do. They're all looking ever so slightly awkward with this low grip track. So could this be Maverick's chance to get his first victory for Aprilia? You have to say it's looking pretty promising so far. I know it's only Fridays and we've been down this road before, but yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
It's a crucial Friday though, let's not forget that, because this decides the running order this session for Q1 and Q2, so it's a crucial 60 minutes, and right now Maverick Vinales right up there with a 131.3. And another crasher, this time I believe it's Miller. Surely it can't be Binder again. Yeah, it is Jack Miller. It's not Binder again, but both KTMs have gone down, and guess where Miller's gone down? Turn 11. So if anybody is out there at the Majolica circuit and wants to have a look at the 2 KTMs, and I don't believe it, I think it's Paul Espargaro's caused that again, and Augusto Fernandez caused that again. It's one of the gas on the entry that's been drifting and has brought down Jack Miller. And which one was it? I'm trying to work out, was it Bagnaia or Bastianini? But either way, Miller in the gravel, in the kitty litter, having to be dragged out. It's a deep gravel trap here. They've done a lot of work on it in the past year to make sure that bikes don't go flying. They're going to pull it back. Hopefully they've kept the engine going, and Miller might be able to get back to the pit lane. It was Enea Bastianini, who's now back into the pit lane, who caused that accident. He was drifting on the main line, and he might just get a penalty for that. Green flag's back out here at Mandalika.
Well, it looks like they missed the apex, but I just then wonder, for setting up 11, how that's affecting things with terms of lines and that.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eye out for that, because I mean, there's one thing we'll be able to see is, because of the way the rubber is down on the track, we'll be able to see exactly where they've been going. Yeah,
just one thing to have a look at, but then obviously Jack's gone down then at turn 11, a fast one. So that's 3 of the KTMs down there already this afternoon. One branded gas. This is going to be some lap from Aleix Espargaro. This could be bailout.
Right thing to do.
Absolutely.
In there a little bit faster. Real slippy part of that track at the maximum lean. He's still really, essentially at that point, he's still needing to scrub off a bit of speed. Normally you'd trail brake, so you'd carry on braking using your front brake, and he just thought, no, not today.
Now, not many hard braking areas on this racetrack. It, as you say, very similar to Argentina, and we can say similar about, this is where you can see Jack's coming out of turn 10, and then he's...
I'm not sure why Enea's got his hand up so much and still tipping on in.
Jack was just a bit wider, perhaps, because of it.
It's exactly it as well.
But Enea should check it up a little bit.
really,
on the approach to
really
the corner,
because then you look over your shoulder.
you see Jack coming, so you don't go in.
No,
you wait until that
you
rider
check
gets in on the line.
Exactly that. You check up, like Michael says, you brake and slow right down. He then tips in. You're aware there's no one behind him, and you accelerate into that space. We've seen that. Sorry, Gab. We've seen that a little bit this year with riders that have been out injured that have come back.
I was just about to say, he's not ridden since Barcelona.
Yeah, and they are just slightly rusty. And also, in his defence, just a little bit of time is off. You have a glance over your shoulder and you think, oh, I've got time to roll into the corner maybe. But actually, the bikes are arriving so much quicker than your brain has really adapted to. And before you know it, you end up with a situation like that. We saw Paul do it, didn't we, when he came back, when he'd been sat out for quite some time.
Yeah, Frankie Morbidelli done it on occasion as well.
Frankie Morbidelli did it for a full season last year.
He did do it a few too many times.
Frankie must have got done 4 times for those sorts of things. The stewards will be having a chat about that.
Yeah, I think there will be.
Shame for Jack, it has cost him a crash, hasn't it? And it just takes the momentum out of the whole session, really. You'll be trying something with your setting. Well, I think you potentially got that bike back, but at that speed, you would presume that'd be the end of the session for that motorcycle. So then you're out on your spare bike, and anyway, it's the last thing you need. This man's impressive. Imagine arriving here this morning, having had the operation. He decided to wait, sit it out in Italy just to check everything. The doctors wanted to check everything over, rather than just rush to get here. So jet lagged. I mean, the climate, I can't emphasise how hot it is outside, how humid it is. And for him to be able to literally arrive on the island this morning and to have the concentration to ride as well as he is, as hard as he is, through, I can't tell you how painful it must be. Wow, I am very, very impressed with Bez.
Something not quite right here for Pecco Bagnaia, who comes back in again. So,
and it was on the onboard, it was the end of the back straight down into turn 10, not able to pull it up, run it on into the, well, it is tarmac. It could well be braking issues
braking again, grip. We talked about the rear contact, perhaps. That was something he was struggling with, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what we saw in India with similar track temperatures.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So track temperatures, track conditions as well. We know Aprilia tend to work. That's why Argentina, I think, of how strong Aleix Espargaro's been there. Some of the lower grip tracks, Barcelona this year, where it was really low grip and they were right at the front, 1 and 2 in that situation. It'll be interesting, won't it? If the track starts to rubber in, will that then just affect Aprilia's edge slightly?
Yeah, no, it really could. It could be Aprilia's the bike to be on Friday, and all of a sudden, come Saturday, actually, you need to be back on a Ducati. I'll tell you what, the bike doesn't look like you want to be on is the Honda's not been working too well. The shapes I saw this man pull this morning and the other Honda riders, it didn't look comfortable. I know this bike struggles anyway for just mechanical grip.
But we have seen at places that actually, like India, play into their hands a little bit, Michael, because everyone was suffering with grip then.
Yeah, both Mark and Joan Mir looked good all weekend, actually, in India. It was nice to see some light at the end of the tunnel for them on the Honda.
7th and 10th, so as it stands are both going through to Q2. There was still a long way to go in this session, still 40 minutes, but still.
Hey, but way better than this morning.
Yeah.
I had a horrible feeling this morning. Mark had a few big slides after a couple of off-throttle ones, and I don't know. I know why. I had deja vu of last year.
You just
don't do that again.
Know that Mark will just keep tipping it in and keep pushing the envelope. And I'm glad to see the track does look a bit grippier here for the MotoGP boys, and it is mainly turn 15 getting wide there, still a little bit of a tricky point, and the turn 11 incidents we've seen so far. So hopefully it'll continue to improve. The line will get a little wider, then the risk goes away somewhat.
Lovely on board with Marco Bezzecchi here. Let's take a look at the time set at the moment, because there is 20 minutes down, 20 minutes to go. And it is Aleix Espargaro the fastest on a 1:31.347. And it's Maverick Vinales, followed by Jorge Martin, Fabio Di Giannantonio, Fabio Quartararo rounds out the top 5. Marco Bezzecchi goes 6th. Marc Marquez 7th, Jack Miller 8th, Jan Zarco 9th, and Johan Mir the top 10 with a 1:32.493. Then there's a further 10th and a half gap to Miguel Oliveira in 11th, just on the outside, followed by Pecco Bagnaia, Raul Fernandez, and Alex Rins. Lap time counter for the 33 of Binder. So after Rins, we get Paulo Spargo in 15th, Franco Morbidelli 16th, Augusto Fernandez down in 17th, Brad Binder 18th, just having his lap time cancelled, and Eri Bashini's 19th, Takiki Nakagami 20th, and Luca Marini yet to run a lap at competitive speed. He's done 6 laps in this session, but hasn't actually done an overall time just yet. As we're into the middle half of this session, riders just doing longer runs. Augusto Fernandez, a lap time cancelled.
Yeah, a little bit close to the wire for a few years under Dr. Costa.
Alex Rins says he said after this morning felt much better than he did back in Japan, with another couple of weeks to rest up. Lovely livery this weekend once more. Castrol livery here in Indonesia.
I was just thinking, so here's one for you then. Alex Rins, we're all going, clever move, smart, sign for Yamaha, got the factory team. Could that signing now have been a mistake? He could have been the lead rider and got a really big money deal with the factory Honda team.
Could have been rejoined with his old teammate with Joan Mir, as moving from 2 factory Suzuki riders to 2 Repsol riders, but yeah, that ship sailed. He's committed to Yamaha. I do think moving back to inline 4 for Alex could well it could wield some impressive results, because he's got a quirky, unique riding style. He does extract things out of the bike that other riders can't. Obviously, still winning a race this year in Texas on the very unfavoured RCV at that point in the season.
And can we just add how cool do those Castrol Honda colours look? Again, it just looks so right.
Oh, Mir nearly dropped it at turn 3.
You already don't need to listen to the debriefs tonight from the riders. You know the comments. Obviously, each rider on each manufacturer will say that it's only their motorcycle that they're having the issues with. We have no grip. It's ridiculous. Cannot feel the front. We just know the comments that are coming.
I have a feeling Aleix Espargaro might say that we're not coming back here unless they re-tarmac it again or something. But they just did.
He's got form for them, those comments, hasn't he, Michael?
We're at a tricky point, aren't we, for the championship? The riders clearly are starting to feel like they're wielding more power, shall we say, which is a good thing in many respects, especially when it comes down to the safety side of things.
Marquez chucking in sector 1.
But we always know when it comes down to the riders that it's hard to get one direction out of all of them. Then on top of that, there's a chance where it feels like you might go backwards in terms of where you're going. We talk about the start thing. You think it's some riders would have asked to have practice starts, and you say, I'm not sure that actually does help on things. And so it's hard, isn't it, when the organisers are trying to listen to the riders as much as possible, but no, feasibility is also a factor in these things.
Yeah, and it's been a huge step this year with the sprint races and all the injuries. The riders do feel like, not that they're performing puppets, I wouldn't go that far, but there is talk about them trying to get some sort of unity together, but they've tried in the past. It never works. It can never be unanimous. There's always, everyone's got their own agenda, and
it changes from week to week.
And it does change from week to week. You're so right. It's difficult to know what the answer is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is good that they have meetings, but they always have been, haven't they, with the safety commission since that's been in place. So I don't know what is different if they were to come together and act together.
Yeah. Well, and also, and I won't give away my sources, but I know a few people that have told me of what the safety commission meetings on a Friday go like, and it's
we've all seen documentaries where it's been on display.
It's sort of a free-for-all. It's lots of arguing. It's not as professional as you would think to say this is the absolute pinnacle of two-wheel motorsport.
It'll be people reading incidents in completely opposite way, depending on whether you're on the giving or receiving end of one of those incidents, and vice versa. You know, like that happens a lot, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Unfortunately, riders are selfish by nature, and they get blindsided themselves. They won't admit sometimes when they're in the wrong, and they just fight their corner. And that's hard. It's hard to get a unanimous decision amongst 22 riders who all want their own outcome.
Because they all want
Mark's
to be
back down
number
to his
one.
lap.
That's the ultimate, isn't it? That is the ultimate fact. They will do whatever. Look what Mark Marquez is about to do. Relinquish, you know, all of his money and all of his, you know, career that he's had with Honda, his legacy and everything, to go and ride an independent team, the fourth MotoGP team for Ducati. And that's what he's willing to do. He's willing to do anything. And if he tells you that red paint is black, he believes it's black. And if someone else tells you it's blue, they believe it's blue. And we all know it's red.
Yeah, and the 22 riders in MotoGP are in MotoGP because they've got that self-belief, that stubbornness, that arrogance. Otherwise, if you didn't have that, you don't have the tools to race at this level. That grit and determination.
Riders starting to come out then on the circuit, but they are pretty much doing installation laps, as you can see on the timing screen. Well, for instance, 13 minutes in the first sector for Fabio Di Giannantonio, nearly 10 minutes for Aleix Espargaro. It's not really that up there, is it? But Marc Marquez did have a better run in the middle sector and then made a mistake in sector 3 and had to back out. And it has cost him quite a bit. He's gone into 5th with a 1:31.806 done on the last lap, but could have been so much more as Jorge Martin now starts flying. He's got a hard front, soft rear tyre in. Let's see what his first sector time is. Martin up in 3rd position at the moment. Oh, and he's got traffic right in the way. And it's 25.639 as well. So he's 48 thousandths down at the moment on Aleix's time. So there's a lot still to be worked on here in the MotoGP practice session. We're gearing up for our second, mainly third runs of the day.
It's really hard to get a read on tyres at this stage of the weekend.
One thing we have been told is one of the strengths of Jorge Martin in the last 4 or 5 rounds is he has not changed that motorcycle. He doesn't play with the setup. He sets off, and what he works on is himself and tyres, and that's what he focuses on. And it's funny, when you're in that sweet spot, when you are confident, you know you can make the difference. And the exact opposite goes for someone who's just lost a bit of feeling, lost a little bit of confidence. You're not happy with the motorcycle, so you're trying to create that feel and that understanding. So you're constantly in and out of the pitch, trying different things, and you get lost really, really easy. So it's funny, that's the information we've been told of late, that he's literally just kept the bike as is.
Bagnaia is not having a good afternoon here. There's been remonstrations, been gestures, shakes of the head, back into the pits a couple of times, blown a corner there, blown one earlier on. 3 points between himself and Jorge Martin, and Martin, over the last 4 races, since Bagnaia did the double in Austria, Martin has outscored him at every single one of those rounds.
And think about that double in Austria. We talked about it. What a performance. He led every lap. He did not allow anyone to lay a finger on him, let alone a glove or a glancing blow, let alone a punch or a knockout. I mean, he was exceptional. And we said afterwards, Gav, that Sunday night, chatting in the bar, going, feels like it's one hand on the championship and he's got his other hand's not far off grabbing it.
And since that turn 2 incident in Barcelona for Pecco Bagnaia on the Sunday, he has not beaten Martin across the line. Well, he didn't obviously line up then again in Barcelona, but Martin took a podium then. But Martin has finished ahead of him on every single occasion since. It's been 5 wins and a second for Martin in that period.
Incredible. One thing maybe worth thinking about, we saw Jorge Martin really struggle with the heat in India. Pretty much collapsed as soon as he got off the motorcycle. They'd shortened that race. The temperatures are going to be similar here. pretty much, I'd say, about the same. That's what the weather looks like on Sunday. Obviously, it's going to be full distance. Do we think it could be an issue? Or, I mean, he talked about that he got his nutrition slightly wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael?
I do think, obviously, they're thinking about it. Aprilia have you seen the new scoop Aprilia have got on? So in the screen, they're taking air in from the front and bringing it right up into the rider's face to help cool them throughout the weekend. Obviously, they know aero. It seems like they know aero better than anyone. Maybe only Ducati on a comparable. So, yeah, obviously, that's an interesting move from them. I don't know if it's on Alicia's bike there. No, you can't see it on the front screen, but it's just where the graphic ends on the front. It's quite a big scoop, actually, and then it brings the cooler air into the front of the machine, so rather than the 50-degree temperature air somewhat coming up off the bike. But not only will it be about that, it is pre-race, preparing, keeping your core temperature down, hydrating but not flushing all your salts out, not drinking too much water where you end up actually draining yourself. You can take on too much fluid. So it is something that he got wrong for sure, Jorge Martin, on the day, and it'll be in the back of his mind this weekend.
And not to come up with a crude statement, but he appears to be a sweater.
Yeah.
You know, like we see a lot of riders that appear to be the exact opposite. You always see him pretty cool. You never see him on the grid and you think, well, he's sweating, but he does always look like he's sweating, and obviously that plays a huge part in it.
Can we just have a quick word for Raul Fernandez, who's in the last 3 events has had 11th and 8th in San Marino, 9th and 10th in India, 10th and 9th in Japan, after a tough start to his Aprilia career in general, missed around with injury and arm problems, and then, you've got to say, rebuilt well.
Absolutely. We were definitely at that point where we were saying, looks like he hasn't quite got what it takes to cut it at this level, at the absolute pinnacle. And obviously we were all chatting, going, wonder what the next step for him will be to go back to Moto2, because he only did 1 season in that championship, finished 2nd in the world, I'll remind you, and won quite a few races.
Won more races than Remy Gardner.
It was an impressive, very impressive rookie season. But then jumped on that gas KTM, struggled, and then obviously this year it's taken him a while to get to grips with that Aprilia, but he looks like he's made a huge step.
The youngest rider still in MotoGP.
How old is he, about 23?
22.
22.
Yeah, still a youngster, is Raul. Fabio Quartararo into 6th place. I was hoping he'd be in there this weekend. He was on pole here last year. The flow to the racetrack with the lower grip, and that meant maybe the issues that they're having might be levelled out a little bit.
He sounded positive yesterday. He was saying all the right things. As we know, for Fabio, it's all about this session. For him, it seems like this is like the most important session of the weekend for Fabio to get directly through to Q2.
Well, he said as much, hasn't he, in recent rounds? And I think in about 5 minutes' time, there'll be some tyres being thrown at this. Because this is a place that he's going to challenge the tyres.
And this is definitely a place we're going to see yellow flags.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
If you wait till the end, there's going to be a lot of people losing laps.
We're watching Air Bastianini come through for 13th. Aleix Espargaro might go even quicker. It definitely looks like the Aprilia is the bike to be on, at least on the factory front anyway.
Hey, Fabio Di Gianantonio up there again.
Yeah.
Had a really good chat with Frankie Carcetti about it. And I said, what's going on with Fabio? Is it the fact that he pretty much, he's been given the boot and he's pulled his finger out? He went, no, not at all. He said, we found something. He said, I'll tell you what's happened. And I thought it's quite interesting. He said, as you would expect, he was a rookie last year. He didn't really know a lot. So he's followed the setting of everybody else on the Ducati. He's gone down the road and he said, basically, there's 8 Ducatis on the grid. So we all had our bikes set within a certain window. And it just didn't work for him. He said, we waited last year playing around, just making small changes. Again, another mistake. Anyway, he said, obviously, we got to the point where we thought, well, we've got to try something completely different. And he said a few rounds ago, Frankie said, I've been working on something, I've spotted something. He didn't tell me exactly what, but he said, we've gone radical compared to everyone else. And he said, from that moment on, we've absolutely transformed it. And he said, we've said this before, the Ducati riders, they compare all the data against each other, but they compare everything, like literally per session, braking performance, corner speed, and they analyse that data. And Frankie said, now Digi's the best braker on a Ducati because of what this setting change we've made. And he actually said, it's so interesting, so look at the tear off flapping around.
He's obviously not managed to get it off.
No, it's so annoying when that happens, isn't it, Michael, when it's rattling on your helmet?
Yeah, you've got to go again. But yeah, normally you've obviously the two posts each side. Sometimes just a quick snap and it will release, but yeah, it's just going to hang on there and frustrate him the rest of the lap.
So Digi's braking is
number one.
Right.
How interesting is that?
I spoke to him in Japan.
Oh,
And he was full of beans, you know. He said, I've not given up on MotoGP yet. Basically said, look, last year was almost a write-off. We got things wrong, but we know, everyone knew what we got wrong. And this year, we've just chipped away. And actually, if you do look at his results, he's not a big crash or anything like that. He's there or thereabouts. The problem is, because the 8 other Ducatis, and all of them have had a podium at some point, then he is the outlier in that respect.
It is too little too late.
Yeah.
And
but
what a shame for him, though.
8 both races in Japan. Would you, if you're Honda and you want to find someone who's got MotoGP experience, he's the only rider out of a contract at the moment that you could put on the LCR bike who's got a little bit of Ducati knowledge. I suppose Zarco comes with that already. He has not given up hope of that yet.
Yeah.
Well, just quickly, we saw Bagnaia fastest in the first 3 sectors, then back off a lot in the last, and he has now come into the pit lane, which is a disappointment. But Vinales, 44 thousandths off his own fastest time, so he too lost out on pace with 23 minutes to go. Marc Marquez just easing it through the first couple of sectors as well as he begins to push. He's on soft front, soft rear tyres, which is some of the field going for that, as you can see on your monitor. Some of them gone hard front, soft rear. Some have gone, well, actually, only 2 have gone medium front, medium rear. And that is Augusto Fernandez and Paul Espargaro, the 2 gas KTMs. Hello to SHT, who says hello in the Twitch chat. As Marc Marquez is a 132.219. Just a reminder, if you're watching us on YouTube on the catch-up, practice is live only on Twitch, as well as the Moto 2 and Moto 3 races. That's where you can find them live. Live coverage of the MotoGP qualifying, sprint and Grand Prix is live on YouTube and Twitch as well. But if you want to see Moto 2 and Moto 3 live, it is on JB Motorsports' Twitch only. What happened to Alex Marquez, says SHT. He's withdrawn from the weekend. He's been declared medically unfit because he's still got some pain in his ribs after that crash in India, so he's withdrawn from the weekend. But this morning was actually the first time that we had all contracted riders out on the track for the first time since FP1 in Portugal. So for the first time since the start of the season in FP1 this morning, we had all the riders who were supposed to be out there. But yeah, well, hasn't happened now. Vinales looking in that first and second sector, 25.5, 44.4, and he's lost it off now in that third sector. He was 14 thousandths ahead in sector 2. So sector 3, he's gone down by 0.8 of a second. SHT says, well, I did kind of predict that one. One of them might withdraw. You did this morning, and it was indeed. And this is Maverick Vinales, the reason he's had a problem down turn 10. Had a lot of oversteer moment, and he's gone straight on.
I want to control my own destiny, and the one obviously
puts him in line with everybody else's contract.
Oh, great shot.
But that's a bit of a tasty one, isn't it? So, I just want to get into it. Before we get into the meaty part of this session, who replaces Marc Marquez at Honda? Because this man, knows you see it again. Because this man, apparently they're after. Miguel Oliveira's another one. They're tapped up. There's talk of Zarco and Lecuona to come in, or even Lecuona straight to Repsol Honda. There's noise about Jake Dixon or whoever. Go on. Your expert
all the names
opinions.
you said there, for me, there's one absolute massive standout, and that would be Miguel Oliveira. I think he's an incredible rider. He's not reached his full potential. He's won more races on the KTM than anyone else. Obviously, he's had a lot of bad luck. That goes with the name Oliveira, unfortunately. But he'd be the man I'd be trying to poach.
And you'd be trying to poach him with big money. But if you're Miguel Oliveira, would you do that then? Would you go onto the Honda when Aleix Espargaro's looking like he's not got too much longer left. He said so himself. You're in Aprilia. You can say to Aprilia, look, I'm giving up Honda for you. What would you do?
You use every card that you have in your pocket, and right now he will lever Aprilia to try and get the potential, because, as you say, Aleix has made noises that he may not continue after the end of this contract that he's currently signed. So you would be trying to cement your position of replacing Aleix if he does retire, and you'd also try and lever something out of Honda, a long-term contract, because let's get it right, HRC will find a way. It might not be next year, it might be the year after. They will figure out a way to use the aero, to get the engine character back, to make the bike steer. You know, the history they've got in this sport, they're not going to stay in the doldrums for long.
And you'd love to be getting on that lift at ground level, wouldn't you? And going up the floors with them, and hope that it's at ground level and not at the basement. But
yeah. No, you're so right. And also a lovely financial package with it. And then all of a sudden you're on your way up and it's like, I tell you what.
Ride this one.
This has worked out great.
Because you're going alongside, it's not like as well, you're next to an absolute novice. You're next to Joan Mir. You're next to a MotoGP world champion who, actually, his form has picked up a little bit in the last couple of rounds. Feels he's got a direction with the new frame.
And Miguel was very instrumental in bringing the KTM to the fore, to get those victories, to knows what it takes to bring a bike from what was actually in some ways related to the Honda when it first appeared. It did seem like it looked like a little bit like an RCV originally. Obviously Mike Leitner involved with Honda previously, and he'd come across on the KTM development path, so yeah, maybe Miguel Oliveira could be a nice fit.
I've heard people mention obviously Alex Rins has missed out on that boat. I've heard people mention Jack Miller, and it would free them up to have Pol Espargaro. He's now got so much experience. So many people talk about breaking all these contracts. It's not as easy as it looks. Most people are back in the pits now. Brad Binder's just gone out, soft front, soft rear. Fabio Di Gianantonio's just gone out, soft front, soft rear. I think it's that time, chaps.
It's that time. It's going to be interesting. It's that time, but it's always this time, right, in MotoGP. At this point, you've got to start now thinking, you've got to start switching your brain to think, okay, right, now I've got to push. I'm going to put some new tyres in. The problem is now, and there's always anxiety with that, because you have to go, it's day one still, but you've got to go beyond what you really feel comfortable. But you've got to times that anxiety feeling by 10 on this track. It is so difficult to commit. We've seen the fast crashes. There's been a lot today in all classes, very little warning. But you're going to get even less feel and warning when you put a brand new tyre in and attack. So very, very difficult part of the weekend now. And especially just times that by what we've got coming up with all the races. Like, it's these sorts of sessions where the bike can just bite you, and you're sitting out the next 3 rounds. He's pushing, isn't he, Fabio?
Really
he looks
is.
good on it, though.
Bike's on the move.
Bike's on the move, but in all the right sort of places.
Into turn 10 for Di Gianantonio. Where do you think he'll end up then?
I'm going to say probably back in Moto 2. There's no decent riders available in World Superbikes that I'm aware of. Do you know what? He would have fit in World Superbikes so well. I rate Fabio, and his personality.
He's a big Superbike fan as a kid, wasn't he?
Exactly. Just loves. He grew up watching Superbikes.
Took his number 21 after Troy Bayliss.
Yeah, massive Troy Bayliss fan. So like, I could so picture in that paddock, and I know, he'd, like I say, I repeat myself, but it does fit in really well. What a great shot of that last section. Is fantastic. Not this last corner. The last corner plays its part in that puzzle, but it's the sort of the penultimate corner that's going to cause all the drama over the weekend from the races. So
for Digi, no improvement, 31.8. You're going to have to be in the 31 bracket definitely to go through. I don't think that's going to happen for Brad Binder, who is down in 20th in this session and just labouring a little bit. There are 9/10 a second covering down to Alex Rins. And then you've got Augusto Fernandez, Pol Espargaro and Brad Binder. The only KTM that's doing anything so far is Jack Miller in 12th place. And then Luca Marini behind, who also is fresh back from his collarbone break from India. And he's 2.1 seconds off. So while it's working for Bez, it's not for Marini. shots of the riders out in the final corners, high up on the curb. They are quite dramatic, the curbs here, a bit like the final corner at Misano.
They definitely work, don't
Yeah, keeping people away from the track edge. We've got those to come in Qatar, haven't we?
Yeah.
In a few weeks' time. It'll be very interesting to see. We heard of Formula One, they were causing a few issues. This is a start
this
of
is
a
the
good lap.
first one. When someone's quarter of a second up through the first split, then you can see the body language of this man.
Brad Binder here, just have to say, is following Aleix Espargaro, right? But Brad Binder is 1.8 seconds behind him on his normal lap as things stand. And he's chasing Aleix. It just makes me a bit nervous, that's all.
Basically what you're saying is Binder's holding his breath right now. We're talking about
he's
Alex
offline
Di
there.
and it just shows that's the fine line. He's in there a fraction hot. He runs off the grippy part of the track. The lap's done.
And quite literally a fine line. It is narrow. You can see it, the darker colour where the rubber is being laid down. But Binder lost a lot of time in there. Aleix Espargaro through that section that Neil's talking about, through 15.
Oh, he's gone very deep and very wide as well. We're going to keep it on this battle screen for a little bit longer to see his sector times come through. Remember, he's got to be a little bit more improvement at 131.374. 131.347, sorry, from Aleix Espargaro to 131.088, 2 tenths faster than that of Maverick Vinales now, as Brad Binder does at 132.768. But great sector time there, and lap time cancelled for Vinales due to exceeding track limits.
Well, a tenth, just over a tenth behind of Quartararo's fastest ever lap. So it just shows we expect there's a lot more here for the MotoGP riders. And Espargaro, another quarter of a second quicker in the first sector. Who'd already taken a quarter of a second off on the previous lap, and Aleix is going again. Bagnaia is going to have his work cut out here to get through into Q2.
Oh!
And there is
Down,
Aleix
down,
Espargaro has gone down. That's what, when you are half a second under, halfway round the track.
But the only good thing is that the bike engine is still running down at turn 10. He should be able to pick it up and get going. He hasn't gone into the gravel. It's just sort of standing there. And Aleix is keeping the bike going as well, which I suppose is the best news. But it has put out the yellow flag. He's got the bike up, sat up. Marshals are there ready. Get it going and pull the throttle back, and away you go. So let's just take a look what happened. Into the braking zone for turn 10. Drifts out the rear of the back. And that's with the drift at the rear. The front's going to go as it continues to spin around. And yeah, rear tyre down on the deck first. So simple little error, but shouldn't have cost it too much. The bike kept rotating the chain, kept the engine going, and the clutch was in. So thumbs up. Let's take a listen to the crash. Oh, it's going to go off, isn't it? Hits the brakes, turns down, and yeah, just loses the rear on entry, and the front drips away from him. 43 lap time cancelled for Jack Miller, as now we get everybody out there on the track starting to make roads.
Marc Marquez and Joan Mir have got onto the back of Jorge Martin here. Marquez currently in 6th place, Mir in 12th.
Mir doing a Marquez here, doing it's like, you know, like when, as Mark, when he hooks on the back of someone, he's usually a millimetre off them. Joan Mir is doing exactly the same. I don't know how comfortable I'd feel being that close to Mark. Around this track, only because of the history of the huge crashes. And I'll tell you what, he lost time through turn 7, unsurprisingly, actually, he's backed out.
And it's a mess in that third sector.
So Mark slots in behind Mir. Bagnaia improving, but staying in 11th. Mark sits up to allow Morbidelli through as Jorge Martin pushes on at the front of this group. Maverick Vinales is one to keep an eye on. Quarter of a second quicker halfway through. Marco Bezzecchi, keep an eye on his lap as well. Halfway round, 0.4 under. Broke his collarbone in a training accident 5 days ago.
And we were all saying, well, that's it. That's probably his championship challenger over with.
Martin! Huge twitch, wow!
Almost washing away, almost sending him into the gravel.
It's so difficult there. You're braking all the way with lean angles, so it's so easy for that to happen, so easy to overload the front.
And Maverick Vinales, I wonder if his eye was just caught by the rider on the outside there in Martin. He goes top, a new all-time lap record of Mandalika. Miller goes into 4th place, but it's Marco Bezzecchi you've got to keep an eye on as well. Here we go, final corner.
Yeah, this is really getting energetic now with 10 minutes to go. Marco Bezzecchi, does he go through? Yes, 1:36.44. Marco Bezzecchi takes the top. He's got a broken collarbone, but he's still fastest. Everyone else in the garage going, that is smoking hot to come through. Pressure rises for both of our championship leaders. Yep, Bagnaia having problems, Martin having problems. One more with Fabio Quartararo now, trying to find something at the moment. He's P4 as things stand and will stay in P4. Bagnaia 16th. Martin at the moment is going through, but there is some serious problems right now going on this circuit because they just can't find the grip. They can't find it, they can't control it. Several parts of the track going wrong. So once again, Pecco Bagnaia looks like he's going to have to go through qualifying 1. Forget what I just said. He's gone 6th fastest with a 1:31.635. Bagnaia jumps up into 6th position in this session. So again, remarkably, finding the time he needs to, finding the grip. And Miller goes up into 5th position as well. Marc Marquez down to 11th place. There's a lot of time still left to be found. Zarco goes 6th. Martin goes 5th. Marc Marquez doesn't improve. Bagnaia is now P9. So Bagnaia now again standing chance to lose out with 8 to go.
Yeah, Mark still hasn't had a lap with this tyre yet.
No, he's been trying to find the right wheel, hasn't he? And he's hooked himself on the back of Jorge Martin.
New
but
record.
You think Martin might be done on
That's
this
what
run?
I was thinking exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because Martin had done his fast lap.
That is simply stunning from Marco Bezzecchi. You know, less than a week ago, had an incident training at the ranch.
Right, Marc Marquez's lap time was cancelled for shortcut. Thanks to SHG for telling us that in the Twitch chat.
We are all thinking, oh, well, that's not good, is it? 54 points behind in the championship. See you later. He's had it operated on. Now, tell me how that feels, a plate in your collarbone, riding with that plate in so freshly operated.
Oh, that was a moment. That was cat-like reactions. I've not had mine operated. Have you had yours?
No, can't comment here.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that was a very good save. But yeah, it's just so painful because, as you can imagine, the forces through your collarbones as you're riding. Look, it's not a heavy braking track, which that's where you get a lot of forces. There's not loads of fast change of direction, but there's a bit where you really need to use your upper body strength. So, yeah.
But the one thing we're always told, aren't we, by people when they've had it plated, is actually it's stronger than ever. It's got steel and titanium plate or whatever on it, and so it's as strong as it's ever going to be.
The saying goes off the doctor's note at the track is, if you can put up with the pain, then you'll be fine. Just forget about your collarbone. It's strong. It's as strong as it was, if not stronger. I can say it's stronger.
Yeah, well,
because that's stronger than bone, isn't it?
Yeah, tends to be. So
My gap, there's 6 minutes to go. I'm going to have to, believe it or not, put my ladders on because I'm doing my lap at 4 o'clock. So literally, when this session finishes, I'm out. Thankfully, I respect the boys and put the rubber down for me, so I've got no excuses. It's twofold. I'll have a little bit more grip, and finally, I'll see the racing line. Right, I'm off.
You'll see it from a distance by the looks of things. Right, Taka Nakagami just went inside the top 10. Marc Marquez sitting tight in pit lane, just over 6 minutes remaining.
I see a shake of the head here from Joan Mir as he passed his mark. He was a little bit frustrated, but Marc, you could see, made a few mistakes on the lap, missed a few apexes, and could probably feel Joan Mir, or at least sense him behind the noise of the machine, and he just rolled out, but did compromise Joan's lap.
So Mir down in 19th. Bagnaia down in 9th. Is Bagnaia trying to shake off Mir? Let's see how Bagnaia gets on With just over 5.5 minutes to go, a few stressful moments for the team as they see the championship leader under even more pressure. What was interesting yesterday, Michael, was about Bagnaia and talking about data, and as we talked about all year, overnight they'll crunch numbers and they'll be better tomorrow and better on Sunday. He said it yesterday. I'm interested to see Mark's data when it turns up next year. They all were saying, that'll be, another one to put in the mix.
Yeah, and it does work, obviously, having 8 Ducatis out there, the information from all the teams being shared, and it gives them something to pour through tonight. So it does seem like the 23 machine does take a little bit more to set up, especially in terms of braking, than maybe the 22 machine. So, that is an Bastianini.
Oh, Bastianini's gone down big time at turn 11.
Lenovo Ducati, but it's fast turn 11. Why so many turn 11 crashes then?
Downhill.
Slightly off camber as you're dropping in there. You've seen the ease to go a little bit deep.
Oh, that was mid-corner.
Already happened, but yeah.
Can I just throw another one?
Weird.
The breeze, the wind, perhaps coming in from the sea.
Away we go, though.
Tyre, perhaps. Yeah, it's. I've seen a lot of them, and that's a fast third gear corner.
So many riders now out on lap times in that first sector. Martin's there. Aleix Espargaro's already ahead, and Aleix Espargaro's already fastest sectors 1 and 2. But the yellow flag's still out at turn 11. So I'm keeping an eye out. And Aleix just going to arrive it now. We've gone green. Perfect. So everybody now has their gambit for lap times. No one has to back off. Whoa, Bagnaia. Huge twitch from the rear for him as well. He's being followed by Johan Mir. He's in turns 4 now through 5 and 6. What really annoys me is that MotoGP clearly have a rider tracker. Why it's not available to us at the public, I don't know. It'll make life so much more easier to tell where they are on the circuit in terms of a battle computer for us to have instead of the information. Here comes Aleix Espargaro then. Third fastest at the moment. Does he improve? No. 7/10 down his overall lap time. Martin, though, is due to improvement. He's estimated P3. Marquez is estimated P6, same as Bagnaia. They're all round about the same amount of tenths between each other at the moment, so there's still time to be found as they're all going to come across the line together. 3, 93, 88, 72, all coming across the line together. So, Martin goes third, Binder goes second, Marquez goes sixth, Bagnaia doesn't improve that much, Miller goes 7th across the board, Pol Espargaro 14th, Augusto Fernandez goes 15th at the moment, and Bagnaia held up by Johan Mir. Bagnaia again not getting a run, and now we've got a yellow flag as Miller. Jack Miller has crashed at turn 1 on the KTM. His second crash of this practice session has brought out the yellow flags. Bagnaia will have to start another lap, but he's going to be meeting with the yellow flag, so he's greeted by that and can't do anything. So Bagnaia loses yet another lap time as Miller crashes out. Repsol Honda has really found some pace with their bikes ever since coming back from the summer break. They have indeed. Marini 12th. Marc Marquez in 6th, though. How much of that is with Marc and Mir no longer being injured and back up to full fitness? They can start developing that bike, but Marc wants to get out of it. Miller trying to bump start his bike, has done so, so Jack Miller won't need a taxi. Let's see, it's turn 1. Front tipped away right in front of Marc Marquez as well. Just the same part of the track accident you keep seeing here. Aleix Espargaro, 1:30.474. Aleix Espargaro jumps to the top of the timesheets with a fantastic time. So Aleix takes the top honours.
In Miller's crash, a bit like Espargaro's at turn 10, where, as you were saying,
pole 10th,
coming from the wider part, sort of crossing over almost
exactly
the narrow racing line.
Which you do naturally. As soon as you get in there a little bit hot, you start to veer towards the inside of the corner, and unfortunately it seems to be catching the riders out as they cross over the clean part over to the slightly less grippy part.
Pol Espargaro just gone into 10th place. Out of the ride.
Multiple lap
next year.
times cancelled.
Out of the permanent ride. Sure we'll get some wild cards. As Pecco Bagnaia comes to the line.
More crashes for the KTM's going to raise more rumours that Dani Pedrosa potentially getting the seat, especially Jack Miller. I agree, SHT. They have both been confirmed, though, Binder and Miller, for next year.
interesting that Pecco seemed happy enough for Joan to get the toe, obviously giving him the signal around this corner to just sit there. The previous lap that we're not on one now, the yellow flag did catch him in sector 1. It's a good first sector for Pecco, and actually Mir right in touch as well.
So many lap times getting cancelled by the stewards now. It really is getting silly. So it's not going to be that much that we have to change it around, but Bagnaia 53,000's down at the moment with 10 seconds left. So the checker flag comes out now. Session is over. Who is going to have the best improvement on lap time? Don't forget the top 10. Set them go through. Aleix Espargaro, Bezzecchi, Binder, Vinales, Martin, Marquez, Di Giannantonio, Miller, Quartararo, Pol Espargaro. That is the top 10 at the moment. Can the champion of Bagnaia and the championship leader get through, or will he have to go through? He's 3/10 off the moment. The computer's predicting him to go 6th. Mia's predicting to go 10th. Vinales has made Bagnaia's made a mistake. Bagnaia's made a mistake under braking. He's gone straight on the track. He's gone straight on in the last part, down at turn 14. And and Mia's crashed in the next corner. Bagnaia went wide and Mia's crashed in the next corner, and that's going to bring out the yellow flag and spoil everybody else's lap time. Vinales goes 2nd. Oliveira goes 7th. They were all ahead of that crash zone, I think. Oliveira 7th, as we know, but wow. So Bagnaia goes straight on, and Mia crashes out right in front of him. The track too greasy. So, yeah, 44, Pol Espargaro, lap time cancelled. Bagnaia just running around. Huge for the championship. It's a disaster for Bagnaia. It really is, and it is huge for the championship. Bagnaia has to go through qualifying 1 with a lot of fast riders in that mix. Bagnaia can't believe it as he comes across the line. Martin 5th, Bagnaia 16th in this session as we wait for the confirmations, as we are getting lap times cancelled. For instance, Pol Espargaro just moved out. Someone else has been moved out as well. It's not Luca Marini. Who's been moved out of that top 10? First time in Q1 since the Spanish Grand Prix for Bagnaia back in early May. Round 5 of the season. And remember, in that race, in the sprint and the Grand Prix, there was huge accidents with red flags, and Bagnaia was caught up in that first red flag. So we're going to have a few lap times cancelled here by the stewards. Bagnaia 3 points ahead of Martin in the championship. Remember, Bezzecchi 54. Bezzecchi, I think, has got through. Yeah, 3rd. Martin 5th. Bagnaia 16th. Huge implications and ramifications coming for the championship. Di Giannantonio into the top 10 for Grenesci. Yep, Di Giannantonio 8th. Very remarkable job there. Anticlimactic end. Aprilia looks really quick here, and really quick for Aleix Maverick. Really strong. We're waiting for confirmation, but we're about to have the practice starts session. Unless that's been cancelled, not seeing anything. New record then. Previous was Quartararo, 131.067. This year, 134.74 from Aleix Espargaro. So it's Aleix Espargaro from Maverick Vinales, Marco Bezzecchi, Brad Binder, Jorge Martin, Marc Marquez, Miguel Oliveira, Fabio Di Giannantonio, Jack Miller and Fabio Quartararo. That's the top 10 going through for qualifying 2's automatic qualification. Having to go through Q1 is Pol Espargaro, Luca Marini, Johan Zarco, Raul Fernandez, Franco Morbidelli, Francesco Bagnaia, Takaki Nakagami, Augusto Fernandez, Johan Mir and Air Bashnini and Alex Rins at the moment. Let's head down to TNT.
But what we didn't know, Michael, and what we saw there, yellow flags played a part, whether it be Miller's crash, Bagnaia's crash, earlier Aleix Espargaro, lots of crashes right when people are starting to push, and that will be the case tomorrow. Indeed,
it will improve. I think tomorrow morning you've got another 3 sessions ahead of the qualifying. I do think it's going to play a part all the way to race day. You can see the line's still quite narrow. Tricky entrances to the turns, so yeah, got to be wary of those yellow flags throughout Q1 and Q2 tomorrow.
Semi-heroic, that is, I would say, from Marco Bezzecchi. Fresh collarbone operation, stitches in his right shoulder, and somehow he's gone through directly into Q2, Michael.
Yeah, he has, and Bezzecchi's making the grade and Pecco's not. It's just, yeah, fair play to Marco. That's gritting your teeth stuff. He's obviously going to be in a lot of pain following the surgery just 5 days ago.
Can you explain then there with Bagnaia? You see, he just took Mia's eye ever so slightly. Not able to judge where he was marking. Can you explain what it's like when you're then pushing for that fast lap? You went to Argentina the first year we went there, for example,
yeah,
and you're on a track that you cannot get offline, and then you've got to suddenly find time. How difficult that is.
It's almost like riding in wet weather conditions. You hold your breath ever so slightly, you go for it, you lean in, you know that there's a 50-50 chance on some occasions that the front will stay or it won't, and you just hope it's going to stay under you. And as we've seen in those sessions, both FP1 and this practice session, it has caught a lot of riders out. So yeah, the commitment's there. Everyone has to just tip it on in, commit, whether it's front end, rear end. We've seen it losing grip on both sides of the machine.
Marco Bezzecchi's going to be sore tonight, isn't he? I think he'll sleep well, though. Bit of jet lag mixed in with the adrenaline and everything that's...
Absolutely fantastic then here for the first day of running for MotoGP here at the fantastic Pimatella Mandalika circuit. We'll be back tomorrow then. Coverage of Free Practice 2 exclusive on JB Motorsports' Twitch. Qualifying will be live, as well as the sprint race tomorrow on YouTube and on Twitch. And you can join us Sunday for Moto 3 and Moto 2 live coverage exclusively on the Twitch channel, and then uploaded and premiered during the day on Sunday on YouTube. And then live coverage of the MotoGP race on YouTube and Twitch. Aprilia rule the roost then here in Indonesia. A 1-2 for them. A 1:34.74 for Malaysia Sparkrow. We'll see you tomorrow from us all here. Take care. Bye-bye.